Hi, Simon Kids subscribers. My name is Mark Kelly, and I'm an astronaut, senator, and author of the Mousetronaut series. Today, I'll be reading aloud from Mousetronaut Saves the World. This is the third book in the Mousetronaut series. Our radar and satellite surveillance have been tracking a rogue asteroid in the solar system, the flight director at the James Webb Space Telescope control room said. It is far from Earth, but it is heading right towards us. We have to do something. We might be able to deflect it, but the flight is long and food and water will be limited. We don't have time to build a normal-sized spacecraft for astronauts, but we need to act fast. We need Meteor, the Mousetronaut. And that's this guy. Madam President, we have a very serious situation. NASA science advisor said, there is a large asteroid in our solar system that is heading right toward Earth. If we don't take action soon, it will impact our planet. It could be catastrophic. Okay, I think I understand, the president said. We can send our astronauts in a spacecraft to divert the asteroid from its current course. Will that do? Madam President, here's the problem, science advisor said. We can't build a spacecraft large enough for human astronauts and get it launched in the short time we have. But we can build a small ship for a crew of 3 Mousetronauts. It'll be much lighter and can still travel the millions of miles to get there in time. It will take only a small push to get the asteroid to miss Earth. The ship we will build can do that. Remember Meteor, the Mousetronaut? He has actually been to Mars, and we think he's the right guy for the job. They're the 3 Mousetronauts on the president's desk. Meteor, NASA needs you, the science advisor said. Our planet is at risk. The entire world needs you. We could lose everything. Meteor, you have the skills and size for this. We need you to command the mission. It didn't take Meteor the Mousetronaut long to make his decision. He would do it. Madam President, I'd like you to meet Newton and Nova. Newton, the astrophysicist, and Nova, the geologist from the Mousetronaut Advanced School of Aeronautics, our elite school called MASA, Meteor said. So not NASA, but MASA. Meteor has been to space twice before and knew how important training was. Nova and Newton wasted no time. They got to work for NASA. They studied the procedures carefully. They practiced in the simulator. They learned about the geology of the asteroid and the orbital mechanics of its trajectory. After weeks of training, they were ready. And then we've got the entire solar system, from the sun all the way out to Neptune. The closest planet to Earth in the direction of the asteroid is Mars, Meteor said. I traveled there on my last mission. We will need to stop at Mars to refuel by converting the frozen water on Mars to hydrogen and oxygen. If we don't calculate our trajectory just right, we might crash into one of these planets. We have to be deliberate and exact, Meteor told Newton and Nova. There's no room for error. I'm going to keep a log of our ship's surface temperature, the cabin atmosphere, and our available food and water, supply and fuel, said Newton. Our resources are limited. We can't waste our consumables. I'll continue to analyze our trajectory and make updates as necessary, Nova added. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. We don't say blast off, we say liftoff. We have liftoff of the Saturn's small spacecraft on a mission to save the world, said NASA public affairs officer. Meteor and his crew rocketed off of Earth's surface and headed towards Mars. The landing on Mars would have been tricky, but Meteor has been there before. The Saturn Smalls rocket was fast, faster than a mouse being chased by a cat. They reached Mars in no time. Meteor looked out the Saturn Smalls window and remembered how much Mars looks like Earth. It was similar in some ways, but instead of blue, brown, and green, It was a rusty red. After landing the rocket, the crew ventured out. A Mars day is almost the same length as an Earth day, Meteor said. The Martian day is 41 minutes longer than Earth's. There's about 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness, so we'll have some time to track the asteroid and make changes to our plan if needed. And we'll have time to turn this ice into the fuel that we need for the rest of our journey. We need to take off before dark. So let's get started. They finished fueling up, but before the crew had time to consult with Mission Control back on Earth, the master alarm went off. The mission computer says that if we don't head back now, it might be too late, said Nova. The Mouseronauts needed to act fast and did not have time to consult the humans in the Mission Control Center. They would have to go it alone. Nova reached for her char start and telescope and used her sextant to measure the angles between the planets and the asteroid. As they got closer, she used radar to maneuver to the correct approach path. Newton calculated the ship's course to intercept. Saturn Smalls was in range of the scary-looking rock. It was big, very big. It was many times bigger than the biggest building any of them had ever seen, and it was much larger than their ship. Meteor and Nova maneuvered into position. They had to push this rock just a bit off course. Because it was so far away, just a little shove would cause it to miss the Earth. But they had to make sure that they sent it into open space. They fired their engines and made contact with the asteroid. It moved slightly. They quickly recalculated the trajectory. They repeated the process one more time and recalculated again. It worked. It would miss Earth. They said, "Hooray! Now let's get out of here," said Meteor. But there was a problem. The Saturn Smalls heat shield was damaged. With a damaged heat shield, they couldn't survive re-entry on the way back to Earth. They were in big, big trouble and had no way to get home. And on top of that, their communications antenna had been ripped off and had floated away. They couldn't get back to Earth or even talk to Mission Control. So here they are, and they got an idea. "We can land on the moon," Newton suggested. Meteor realized since the moon has no atmosphere, they would not need a heat shield to land there and could at least get close to home. If only they could talk to the Mission Control Center. "That is a great plan," Meteor agreed. But with no way to talk to the Mission Control Center, they were in a terrible situation and might not survive. They landed on the moon. Newton, Nova, and Meteor opened the hatch and stepped outside the ship onto the moon's surface near some rocks and a crater. "The moon is not made of cheese," declared Newton. "That's silly," said Nova. The Mouseronauts sat on a moon rock and thought. See, they're all sitting there and they're looking at the Earth. They were stranded and out of ideas. But they knew that Earth and every creature on it were safe. Back at NASA's Mission Control Center, flight controllers examined the trajectory of the asteroid. They knew that Meteor, Newton, and Nova had saved the world. They also realized that for some reason, the Mouseronauts had landed on the moon. But with no way to talk to them, they couldn't know why. In the Oval Office, here's the president. The president was briefed on the situation. She says, "I don't care what it takes or why they are there," said the president. "These 3 Mouseronauts saved all of us. They saved the planet. We must save them. Send a ship and a crew and bring them home." Days later, a giant ship that dwarfed Saturn Smalls landed on the moon. Meteor couldn't believe the size of this thing. "The NASA ship has landed," said Nova, "and it's enormous." 3 astronauts came out of the spaceship. "You little guys, are you looking for a ride home?" said one of the astronauts. "Please," said Meteor, "and thank you." "No, thank you," said the astronaut. "You guys saved the world." The astronauts welcomed Team Mousetronaut aboard. They lifted Saturn Smalls in through the hatch. It was so small, their spaceship, It fit behind one of the crew members' seats. You see, there's their spaceship behind one of the astronauts' seats. The astronauts strapped it to the floor and launched back to Earth, and the 3 Mousetronauts, they were heading home. They're right here in their little seats. Meteor, Nova, and Newton were welcomed home as heroes. There they are in a parade. And that night, Team Mousetronaut was already dreaming about their next adventure. Thanks for reading along with me today. And for more videos like this, subscribe to the Simon Kids YouTube channel. And have a great day.